A developing story today we're following, new in the Breonna Taylor case. 3 grand jurors on that case filed a petition calling for the impeachment of the Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Louisville attorney Kevin Glogauer filed the petition on behalf of the anonymous jurors so that their names would not become public. They say Cameron excluded key information about the Taylor case from them and the rest of the grand jury to, quote, to satisfy his political ambitions. The petition also claims Cameron engaged in making false statements and concealing evidence. But that's not all. It also alleges that Cameron incited the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Those claims point to paid robocalls by a branch of the Republican Attorneys General Association that called on people to march on the Capitol. Cameron has said he did not know about those calls.
All right. That is, what did you expect? I mean, from people who still think that there's justice to Breonna Taylor. I mean, I don't know what else do you want? What justice? There's proof. There's jail audio recordings of Jamarcus Glover with his baby mother. Baby mother called him out and said that, you know, Jamarcus Glover was still messing with Breonna Taylor. And Jamarcus Glover said in a jailhouse recording that Breonna has all his money. You look through the transcripts. Breonna was his money handler. Okay. The woman put up $5,000 for his bond. All right. We all, you know, a lot of blacks are saying, you know, justice for Breonna, but what about the justice for that one of Jamarcus Glover's associates whose dead body was in a car that was rented in Breonna Taylor's name? What about justice for him? The woman was on surveillance since 2016. And now, you know, it's like blacks, you know, not all blacks, but most blacks want to overlook that. I don't get that. You want to overlook, you know, the facts and think that, you know, she's an innocent. She's an angel because she's black. That ignores everything. It's all racism. Okay. Breonna Taylor case, 3 jurors aim to impeach Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Louisville, Kentucky waived the 3 grand jurors who disputed several crucial points in the Attorney General Daniel Cameron's decision not to indict any of the LMPD officers involved in Breonna Taylor's death are now trying to impeach him. Attorney Kevin Glogauer signed the petition on behalf of the 3 anonymous grand jurors, all of who claim Cameron lied about 3 things when he announced on September 23rd that none of the officers would be charged directly for the death of 26-year-old Taylor during a botched raid at her Louisville apartment. He lied about what was presented to the grand jurors. He lied about what options were given to the grand jurors, and he lied about the decisions the grand jury made. Glogauer told Wave 3 News on Friday. If this is true, then, you know, Cameron has to pay the price. One of the 3 officers who were fired their weapons the night of the Taylor raid, Brett Hankins, was charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment for firing into a neighboring apartment. The petition was filed with Kentucky House of Representatives on Friday and will go before the state's newly created impeachment committee at a time that is still to be determined. The petition charges Cameron with incitement of insurrection for financing, directing, and permitting radical robocalls that flooded the United States Capitol with rioters on January 6, 2021. Breach of public trust and failed to comply with the duties for misrepresenting to the nation the findings of the grand jury. Abuse of office and breach of duties of professional responsibility and ethics. The grand jurors were approached by a number of people who wanted to gauge interest in filing something against Mr. Cameron. Glogauer said they decided to take this avenue to make sure the right people are being held accountable for what happened. Wave 3 News has reached out to the Cameron's office and is still awaiting a reply. I doubt that you would get anything out of this. I doubt it. I really do. How the justice system works. It's rare. Okay? Very rare. And the fact of the matter is, with all the information out there, the fact that, you know, she was a trap queen. Sorry. You won't get justice. What justice I don't think you're going to get. I mean, if you look at the transcripts and the jail audio recording, okay, of these clowns telling all their business on a jail phone that is recorded and whatever's said on that recorded phone call can be used in evidence in court. Sorry, it's just justice for who? It's very hard for me to see justice for Breonna Taylor when justice was served to Breonna Taylor for messing with a drug dealer, messing with 2 drug dealers. Her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, was also a drug dealer. If you could do the research, and you'll find out that he was selling pills to waitresses at Hooters. And he also was about to take a contract to rob somebody for $25,000. They also have the text messages of Kenneth Walker saying this stuff. Okay? You can check it out for yourself. Black women need to stop dating drug dealers. Okay? Well, that's the only one around. That's the only type of strong alpha men around me in the hood. Well, then pay the price. Pay the price. Breonna Taylor was his money handler, Jamarcus Glover. That's just the truth of the matter. Get mad if you want. That's the truth. Let's find out more about these robocalls. U.S. Capitol riot. Daniel Cameron says he was unaware of the robocall linked to GOP Attorney General groups. Before Wednesday, the deadly riot in Washington, D.C., an offset of the Republican Attorney General Association, an umbrella organization that includes Kentucky Attorney General Cameron as a member, sent a robocall inviting people to march to the Capitol. If he did this, oh boy. However, a spokesman for Cameron said Monday that Kentucky's top law enforcement official had no involvement in that decision, and Cameron himself said Monday he was not aware of the controversial robocall. The Rule of Law Defense Fund, RLDF, is a fundraising arm of the Republican Attorney General Association, or RAGA. Cameron sits on RAGA's executive committee. The robocall the RLDF set out last week said, "The March to Save America is tomorrow in Washington, D.C. at 1 p.m. We will march to the Capitol building and call on Congress to stop the steal. We are hoping patriots like you will join us to continue to fight to protect the integrity of our nation." Thousands of people gathered in Washington on Wednesday to show their support for President Donald Trump and his false claims that the presidential election was stolen from him. False? Really? Then that afternoon, pro-Trump rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol, forcing members of Congress to evacuate and temporarily halting the Senate and House of Representatives certification of President-elect Joe Biden's 2020 electoral victory. The riot resulted in the deaths of 5 people, including a U.S. Capitol police officer. Saturday, protesters, many armed, gathered for a rally outside the state capitol. And at an unrelated press conference Monday, Cameron was asked about the RLDF's robocall, since the group is affiliated with an organization that counts him as a member. No, I was not aware of those, he said, of the robocall that RLDF sent out to various recipients. I think other organizations that were specific to that robocall made it clear that none of the attorney generals were aware of that robocall. Elizabeth Kunn, a spokeswoman for Cameron, said similarly told the Courier Journal in an email Monday, Attorney General Cameron had no involvement in RLDF's decision. Also on Monday, NBC News reported RAGA's executive director resigned as the controversy over the robocall continued. Why are you resigning if you have nothing to do with it? Cameron and many other elected officials have condemned Wednesday's riot, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who called it a failed insurrection. Election officials throughout the country verified the legitimacy of the November 2020 election results. Dozens of lawsuits Trump and his allies filed over the president contest failed in court. Interesting. Well, I mean, I really do hope that Daniel Cameron isn't involved in this. I really do hope. Because a lot of these, I don't know what it is with these politicians, man. And doing things you know you will get caught for. Okay. Election officials throughout the country verified the legitimacy of the November 2020 electoral results, and dozens of lawsuits Trump and his allies filed over the presidential contest failed in court. What happened at the U.S. Capitol won't be allowed here. Regardless, Trump has falsely claimed the presidential election was marred by widespread fraud despite a lack of evidence. He repeated those claims Wednesday. He gave a speech to a big crowd of his supporters in Washington that day shortly before the riot erupted. And on Monday, the House Democrats introduced an article of impeachment that charges him with inciting an insurrection. In November, Cameron joined several other Republican attorneys general in signing an amicus brief in support of a lawsuit that challenged the counting of certain mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. Cameron said on Monday he wouldn't call for Trump, whose term as president is set to end when Biden is inaugurated January 20th, to resign in the wake of the last week's riot. There are 9 days left, and I'm not going to call for the president's resignation, he said, but I am again committed in this office, and I think all of our responsible leaders have been committed to the peaceful transfer of power. And on January 20th, we're going to have a new president. Well, that's all. He said he wasn't aware of it. Okay. And until more evidence comes out, that's it. He wasn't aware of it. Until there's proof that he really was aware of that robocall and he really was involved in that instigation of those Capitol Hill riots. There's nothing more that can be said. Okay. As for the Breonna Taylor situation, I doubt you'll get any type of so-called quote-unquote justice. Okay? She was doing something that is what got her killed. Okay? It wasn't the police. It was her poor decisions in mating. She was messing around with 2 drug dealers. Okay? And this is a scenario that usually plays out in the hood a lot with black women who mess around with drug dealers, who mess around with Pookie and Ray Ray and Little John John. And the black community, instead of like having reform and telling black women to stay away from men who are drug dealers, don't get involved with them. Don't put their name, as use your house as a place of residence for them. Don't do that. Don't ruin your good career as an EMT for a low-life piece of crap like Jamarcus Glover. Don't do that. But seldomly, the black community, majority liberal, will not refuse to give that harsh advice. Because in their eyes, you're telling the black woman what to do. And that's a no-no. Telling her to have responsibility for our choices is a no-no. But the black men, yes, you could tell them to be responsible for their choices, but never the black woman. Well, it's a matriarchy. Claim to do what they want. And then when consequences come, they want to run to the man and be looked upon as a victim. They're not a victim. They're a willing participant in their bad choices, choosing drug dealers. All right, this is what I got to say about it. If you like the content, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Later.